A to Z Sports prime time on a Sunday night. Hope everybody is doing right. Hope you are living well. Hope you had a great weekend and are ready to get back into the swing of things with us here tonight. We are going to spend some time on Titans head coach Mike Vrabel, who told us via Zoom press conference today that he has tested positive for COVID-19. We're going to walk you through kind of what that means and how the team plans to basically try and keep things on track over the course of the, next potentially 10 days, depending on how Vrabel's testing continues to come along. We'll talk about standouts from Saturday night's game. I was there in Tampa Bay. It's the first time that I've been home since last Tuesday, so we can start to have a little bit of a normal show again. But we'll spend some time on the game itself, on Mike Vrabel, and then, of course, try to add a little levity to the situation with This Is a Free Site, the best thing that I saw on the internet this week. Before we get to the good stuff, before we get to the content that we have prepared for you, I need you guys to share this show. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter, go ahead and retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That is how the people can get involved. There, retweet in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and make sure that everybody on your Twitter following is a part of the proceedings. If you're hanging out with us on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And if you are on YouTube or on Twitch, please subscribe to the A to Z Sports channel, where you can get all of our live streaming content basically 7 days a week at this point during the football season, and a lot of different shows between myself, Austin and Zach, or Austin and Luke right now in the mornings, Alan Bell and Brian Edwards on the A to Z Sports Bet Show, and you never know who's going to pop on live when the A to Z Sports signal comes to you. Just make sure you're ready by subscribing to our channel. And now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and begin the show officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Sunday night from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford. Since 1983, the best in the business. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com. Go check out the Ford Maverick and pre-order one today. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Promo code A2Z Sports gets you in on all of their great promotions and odds boosts. Brymac Mechanical, satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs by BRYMAK, Brymac.com. And of course, the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, the official real estate agent of the Titans, Preds, and A to Z Sports Prime Time, you can find at GaryAshton.com. So Mike Vrabel tested positive for COVID-19 today. It is a situation where they're going to conduct the contact tracing. He told us today that he believes, and they have gone through and seen and continued to test. And by the way, all of us who were in Tampa, myself included, I just returned home from Florida today. We'll all go through testing tomorrow at the practice facility to determine whether, one of us potentially has COVID-19 or the handful of people that traveled. So it is something that there is a contingency plan for, and was always a possibility. I know people are surprised that Mike specifically is tested positive, and I would say to you, it's great. It's great news that he's vaccinated, because that makes all the difference in the world. And certainly we hope that, he said he had a little bit of a sore throat today, so he went and tested, came up positive, and then they immediately scattered us all back to the wind with Zoom, because initially we were supposed to have an in-person press conference with Mike at noon. Sent us an email this morning, said, yeah, he's going to do it on Zoom at 1 o'clock today. And then, of course, he came out with his own news. So positive, certainly, that he's so far not displaying symptoms and that he is vaccinated. So if there are symptoms, those hopefully will be abated to a degree because of the vaccine. But now, how do they move forward, right? That becomes the next question, and something that we talked to Mike Vrabel about today. The question that I have you guys, or have for you guys, your Two Rivers Ford take: which Titans assistant should be running the team while Mike Vrabel deals with COVID? Let me know in the comments section on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We will discuss at length together which Titans assistant should be running the team while Mike Vrabel deals with COVID. Your Two Rivers Ford take, get involved. Let me know what your particular opinion is on it. I'll tell you how they plan to handle things here in just a second, right after I remind you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford, who present the Two Rivers Ford take each and every night. Two Rivers Ford is the home of so many cool new Ford vehicles, American-made Ford vehicles that Ford has to offer. And I know I've told you guys a lot about Two Rivers Ford, but some of you may not have checked out Two Rivers Ford or Ford in general lately. Then you may have missed something like the 2022 Ford Maverick, which is an incredibly cool vehicle, a smaller truck built for those of you out there that aren't necessarily like big pickup truck people. It's compact. It gets great gas mileage. It's got plenty of room, all the bells and whistles, but most importantly, it's priced at under $20,000. The Ford Maverick is only available for pre-order right now. It's not on the lot in Mount Juliet just yet, but you can stop to talk to any of the non-commissioned sales rep at Two Rivers Ford about it. Non-commissioned salespeople are one of the things that make Two Rivers Ford the best car dealership around, because that means their salespeople make a paycheck whether they sell you a car or not. No pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying experience. Two Rivers Ford is the most trusted dealership around, so go see them in Mount Juliet. Call them at toll-free 800-900-1000 or online at tworiversford.com. They present the Two Rivers Ford take each and every night. So who should be running the team in the absence of the head coach? And it's worth noting that, and I want to make sure that I get his words exactly correct, because we did talk with him about this today, and it was laid out about how long it will take for him to come back. Right now, Mike Vrabel said that he needs two negative tests within a 48-hour period to be able to return. If not, it'll be a period of 10 days. So 2 negative tests in the next 2 days, or he'll have to wait a 10-day period before he can make his return to the team. He was in Zoom meetings with the team today, and there is a contingency plan for how things operate in his absence that they've put in some time. Who should be the one running the show, basically, with Mike Vrabel, for all intents and purposes, stuck on the couch? And by the way, before we get into, well, who's up next? It's kind of like a depth chart conversation where somebody gets hurt and, you're talking about, oh, who's up next? Who's up next? All this stuff. First and foremost, we want to make sure that we're saying best wishes to Mike Vrabel and his family, because I've had COVID. I think a lot of you guys remember that when we did, I tried to do like 2 shows while I had COVID, while I was stuck in the house. This was almost, if not over, a year ago. And you guys saw how it beat the holy hell out of me. So I hope that, and Mike Vrabel's a big, bad, mother bleeper, right? Like I saw Will Compton tweet today that COVID-19 had contracted Mike Vrabel, not the other way around. So, I'm sure he's going to be fine. It's great that he's vaccinated to help hopefully keep some of these issues that a lot of people deal with away. But certainly, just wanted to put it out into the universe that we're thinking about him and that we hope he gets better, makes a full recovery, because that can be a nasty situation. Jesse Norwood says he was getting nervous. Hope you're all safe from the floods. Yeah, I heard there was terrible flooding while I was away in Florida. I'm so sorry to hear about everything happening, particularly in Waverly, man, and Dixon County. God bless those people. That's so hard. Sunday Night Football talk with Buck. Love it, says Demetrius. Yeah, I do love it, but tonight I'm not crazy about what we're talking about. COVID-19 is scary, even if you are vaccinated. I hope you will be okay, says Amy. Yeah, of course. We are all thinking about him as he works his way through it. Mike should be on a boat on Titans Lake with the bullhorn. Yeah, he said that the team would probably be happy to have a break from him, and A.J. Brown kind of tweeted a joke that said as much. Nicholas Carr says Jim Schwartz should be running the show. Now, I did not think about Schwartz, but that's basically what everybody is saying. Demetrius, Puka, Jason Bolin, Mark Mirkovich, Patrick Glanton says, I'd rather J-Rob do it. The effort by the team over the last 2 games is noticeable, and it's been hella fun to watch. So stoked about the next few seasons. Get better, coach, says Stephen Cato. El Boogie 808 says Arthur Smith. But most of you are saying Jim Schwartz. So that's interesting. And Schwartz, of course, has head coaching experience, but he, in terms of how things are managed right now, he's a senior defensive assistant in a very, very non-verbal is not the right word, but he's not, I can't say that he's not hugely involved because I don't know what his interactions are behind the scenes. But right now it's not Jim Schwartz. It's not John Robinson. It's not Shane Bowen. Mike Vrabel has had this contingency plan in place since they had the situation with COVID-19 kind of overwhelming, but kind of hovering over everything that we were doing last season. And it turns out that it's actually Craig Aukerman, the special teams coach.
Mike, there's been some chatter that I've heard that maybe some of the Bucs coaches tested positive for COVID. At this point, any indication of where the contact may have come from that led to your positive?
No, Teresa, I apologize. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, trying to concentrate on that. Those that had tested positive, I hope that they're healthy and that they're feeling better as well as anybody else. And we've been through this. And the most important thing is that we focus on everyone's health. We focus on their family's health, those people close to them. So that's really important to me. And, we're going to be fine, and we'll figure this thing out. And, but the health of everyone involved is what's most important. I think what it comes down to is you have to have 2 negative tests within a 48-hour period. And so, if that happens, then I'll be able to go into the building. And if not, it'll be, 10 days.
As far as what does happen, as far as practice goes and meetings, I guess will you continue to Zoom in? And is there anybody you're going to put maybe in charge of running things while you're gone until you be back? Or how's that going to look?
Well, I'm gonna give that some thought today. I'm sure I'll be involved in the Zoom squad meetings, but the one thing is that I'm comfortable with Craig Aukerman, who has touched a lot of players in the special teams meetings, and so his reach in special teams goes on both sides of the football. But also very lucky to have Jim Haslett and Jim Schwartz, guys that have been head coaches in this league, so there's a lot of guys that, we could lean on in that capacity. But, right now I'm going to work through a lot of those things. We don't go out onto the practice field till tomorrow. Today my focus was on, the corrections on the film and watching that. And then also the health of our football team and some of the roster things that John and I have talked through.
So that's Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. It was, it's scary shit, man. I mean, because I struggle with this, right? I don't like being alarmist. And I have tried to kind of, just from our standpoint of our conversations, really tried to keep the focus on football first and foremost, because that's, it starts to feel normal again. And God love him. Like Mike Vrabel's not interested. Mike Vrabel didn't give a shit about our pity, right? Like he's not looking for our pity about anything. And Mike's gonna be fine, hopefully, knock on wood. But you forget that we're still in the middle of this thing, and I shouldn't, because I see the numbers. I watch the news just like you guys do, and I know that a lot of people feel a certain kind of way about where you're getting your news coverage, all these things, and I'm not here to get into that, but because I was texting with a couple of people with the team today, and I'm like, I can't believe this happened. And the reaction was, we're playing football in the middle of a global pandemic. Still, of course, something like this was going to be a possibility. And I guess, from my standpoint, I've lured myself into a false sense of security about this thing, which is wrong, which is the wrong way to go about things, especially when, given everything that's going on, even understanding that I myself am vaccinated, everybody in the media corps is vaccinated. We just spent a week in Florida, which the state is on fire with the Delta variant, much like the state of Tennessee. So we've had this discussion so many different times, and I have told you guys that I am pro-vaccine. I understand why there are many people who have hesitations, but I think on the whole that the vast majority of the population benefits from the vaccine. So I think that, I'm not going to sit here. I tell everybody, that asks me about it. Of course, I think it's good to be vaccinated. And I understand that everybody, is going to look at things differently from their standpoint, and then they need to make the choice that's right for them. But I had a little bit of anxiety because I'm sitting on a plane coming home from Florida today, and we're just kind of, we're just kind of in the middle of these things. And I don't know whether, and we've all worn those little contact tracing devices all week at practice. The game was different, but in the game, at least we're all, at least in Tampa Bay, it was not the case in Atlanta. It's a masks in the press box and all this stuff. But it makes you, it's just a shock. It's a shock to the system, and perhaps it's not good when anybody gets sick, but it is a good reminder that this thing is very, very real, that hovers over us. And, I'm going to go through the testing tomorrow. All of our media friends who are down there, and all the players and all the staffers and things like that, they're going to go through testing. For me personally, right now, I'm what's called a 2M, and I don't know how much you guys care about the process and all this, but like as a 2M media member, right, I'm somebody who gets to go and interact with the players from a safe and social distance, go and be in person at practice. All these things, we are required to get tested once every couple of weeks at this point. And I'm now nervous because I spent, I've been doing a lot of stuff like normal, and that's been unwise because from our standpoint, there's a very good possibility that also being vaccinated, I could have tested positive and could test positive tomorrow for the Delta variant. I'm not going into the radio station tomorrow, and I'm just working this through my prism, right, to kind of help you guys understand how I'm looking at this. I'm not going. I'm doing my radio show from home. I'm doing it from right here tomorrow on Zoom because I'm gonna really have to go into hyper caution mode again about all of this to make sure that we can keep this season as much on track as humanly possible. But for the Titans, at least there is that experience, right? Who should be running the show? Craig Aukerman has been in a position to be able to think this over, and he has run practices before, and it doesn't have to be one dedicated voice, right? Like, it's easier to define roles when there is one dedicated voice, right? Just ask Shane Bowen about defense last year, how much more that defines his role and allows him to do his job. But he has, as he said, Jim Haslett, who has been a head coach, Todd Downing, Shane Bowen, and Jim Schwartz on the staff. There's a lot of people there that are able to keep this thing on the path forward, but it does derail things to a degree. It is a departure from what is normal for this team, and this team has looked hugely, hugely competent preseason. I understand, and we'll talk about the football itself from last night momentarily, but there are a lot of, Mike is a good coach and runs a good program here in Tennessee. And without him involved in some capacities, there are things that are potentially open to change. Now, again, that doesn't matter. What matters is that he's safe. What matters is that his family's safe. And every one of us who's involved and who's been on a part of this trip and who could potentially be exposed, that we do our part to make sure that everybody around us is safe as well. So right now there is a plan in place. Kevin Leonard says this is such a loaded topic, lots of opinions. I mean, yes, and I'm not looking to get in a shouting match with anybody. I know that people are going to be inclined to do stuff like that. Please understand that we're having a respectful conversation here tonight. I feel like I got to say it every time we talk about anything related to COVID-19, but it is, dropped in the middle of this thing once basically almost every day, and it is unavoidable, right? Can we talk Can we talk about football? No, Cassie, I mean, we really can't right now. This is talking about football. And I know that drives people crazy. And I'm sorry to have to do that. I don't want to do this damn COVID show again. Cassie, I don't want nothing to do with it. But like, this is the reality of the situation. And I don't want people to, just turn a blind eye to it because it doesn't personally affect them. And I hope this is as close to you as anybody gets to having COVID touch their lives. I know we've all had various people in our lives who have experienced or dealt with different situations with COVID. I mean, we can talk about football. We're talking about football right now, Cassie, but this is something that gets dropped in the middle of it nearly every day. And we're the latest, we're the latest market. This is the latest team. Vrabel's the latest coach to go through all of this. Keelan Watson just says, God damn it, Florida. Yeah, Florida. It's a really tough situation. I feel like we have covered the Vrabel COVID topic enough. Can we review your assessment in just a minute, Kevin? I don't think we have. Like, I don't want people. Here's what I don't want, okay? Because I understand why you're feeling that way, and I understand why everybody gets so uptight about this. But I don't think that it should just be, hey, let's move on. Let's talk about football, because that ignores a massive part of the story. As Titans for Life says, we should all be able to be civil, but respect that there are other opinions. And I think you guys do an exceptional job of that right now. You guys have always been so good and it's not, I mean, every once in a while we get things popped off from time to time, but you guys always do handle these conversations really, really well for the most part. And I can't tell you how appreciative I am of that, because it makes my life so much easier not to have to deal with a super contentious, audience about this, even as so many of you do have differing opinions and have opinions that differ from my own on this particular subject. So we can move on. We'll move things along here in just a second. And I hate to do, I feel bad for the people that make this show free, for example, because, DraftKings Sportsbook and Two Rivers Ford and Brymac Mechanical, I'm trying to transition and make sure we tell you about the people who make this show free for you, but I don't want to drop an endorsement in the middle of this conversation. It's just a really, really complicated thing. So my larger point is, thank you guys for allowing us to do this in a way that's competent and calm, because I can't tell you, I hate doing these shows. I hate not these shows, but the COVID shows, right? Where I sit down and I'm just sitting here hunched over and tired because we're 19 months into this thing. And I just don't want to get into a fight with people. And I don't want people to fight with each other. I just sitting here thinking, shit, not again. But anyway, we'll get into standouts from last night's game. I was obviously in Tampa, and we'll focus on the football element of these things because there was some really, really fun stuff that took place last night and stuff that you should be excited about. I'll tell you what's going on with that in a minute, right after I tell you about DraftKings Sportsbook. America's top-rated sportsbook app is DraftKings Sportsbook, and our favorite time of year, a lot of people's favorite time of year around here, is right around the corner because it is nearly college football season. And college football season means that you can get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, a fantastic promotion. $200 in free bets instantly if you bet $1 or more on any college football game. You heard that right. DraftKings is giving all new players $200 in free bets instantly when you place a bet of $1 or more on any college football game, no matter what. Simply download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the promo code A to Z Sports to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any college football game. With the promo code A to Z Sports to get $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. So I want to give you some Alexa, play Heal the World, says El Boogie 808. Man, I thank God that you guys have a sense of humor, because I'm telling you, and I'm excited to talk about the football game, because I won't say that the game itself was fun, but there's a lot of exciting stuff that we watched last night in Tampa that I can't, and I wrote about it for the website last night after the game. I think my article ended up running about Elijah Molden like a little after like 11:30 Central Time last night. But I'm sitting on the plane because I'm doing the press conference, the Zoom press conference on my phone as I'm sitting on a plane filled with crowded people. And I immediately go into panic mode, and like I'm calling my girlfriend, I'm calling Austin and Zach, I'm calling my bosses at the radio station. I'm like, what do we do? I don't want to get this thing again. On and on and on it goes. I just immediately go angsty, and then I sit down here tonight and I'm like, shit. I don't want to have this conversation again. And you guys are making jokes that make me happy. So thank you for having a sense of humor about this, because I am so tired of all of it. And it's been a long ass day, but we're going to talk about football right here and now. Let's just hope Vrabel stays asymptomatic, says Christopher White on Facebook Live. And certainly that is for Mike and his family, for Miss Jen Vrabel. And I don't think his boys are at home, but just on principle, anybody who they may be involved with from a friends and family standpoint, we hope that they continue to remain healthy and asymptomatic indeed. So the question that I have for you guys here on A to Z Sports Primetime: who had a better performance on Saturday? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, because I think there's a legitimate conversation between, and I'm shocked that I'm saying this, and Luke Worsham, my teammate at A to Z Sports, is going to celebrate when I type this, or when we put this question together today. But who had a better performance on Saturday? Was it Elijah Molden, or was it Matt Barkley? Because Matt Barkley looked low-key. Great is not the word, but he looked pretty damn good. In a way that, and I know what Matt Barkley is. I've seen plenty of the Matt Barkley experience. He's in the league nearly a decade at this point. So like, he's a known commodity. But last night, and as they kind of went through this weird quarterback rotation where the quarterback Woodside started 2 series, pull him out for Barkley, 2 series for Barkley, put Woodside back in. They did that all night long. And I was really, and I understand that the personnel for the Bucs changed and that things got a lot easier as they, switched things around on their side of the roster with a lot of dudes who aren't going to make the cut come basically the end of this week, August 31st, or I guess the start of next week, because I'm bad at math and I looked at the date wrong. But you understand that Matt Barkley is in a preseason game and he's playing against a lot of scrubs, but like, he looked competent last night. So who had a better performance? Elijah Molden or Matt Barkley? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. While you guys do that, and before you hear from these guys, I will tell you about our friends at Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. The official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans is the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. The official real estate agent of Primetime is the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com is where you go for your dream address without the stress. GaryAshton.com is where you go to make sure that you are getting the best intel to win the buyer battle here in Middle Tennessee. It is a contentious real estate market, but the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage will put you in a position to succeed no matter your real estate intentions or investment goals. GaryAshton.com is where you go to check it out. The official real estate agent of your favorite football team, your favorite hockey team, and your favorite solo streaming sports talk show. Okay, who had a better performance on Saturday night? Was it Matt Barkley or was it Elijah Molden? Because I think it's an interesting question. And Mekhi Sargent, by the way, because Mark Jones brings up Mekhi Sargent, definitely learning from King Henry. This team is a reflection of the work they put in. I don't think he makes the roster because I think Jeremy McNichols just does more of what they want. But he has been really, really impressive in the work that he's gotten, and he does deserve credit. So whether it's a practice squad situation, and Darrington Evans, who did dress out on Saturday but did not play, it's good progress, you think, as he works his way back from the knee injury that he suffered against the Falcons a little over a week ago. And they won't keep more than 3 running backs because they'll keep a fullback to round that group out to 4. So you think that if you're looking at McNichols and Darrington Evans and obviously Derrick Henry, either Torrey Carter or Kari Blossingame as the fullback, that Mekhi Sargent is the odd man out. But I do think that they're looking for an excuse to give this guy an opportunity. And listen, they're going to have to cut some good players this when roster cuts come down at the start of next week, which is it's a good sign. I know you don't like to cut good players, but it's a good sign when you're in a position to be cutting good players and still have an exceptional amount of talent on your team. Vrabel will be back in a couple of days. Depends on if he got that shot they gave y'all. Who y'all know who says anyway, I don't know what Cedric's saying, but I think I understand. Yeah, we hope that Mike Vrabel gets better in a hurry. It's hard to believe that Vrabel is the only one that got it. I mean, we won't know, right? Like I could have it again, which would really piss me off, but it's possible. And all of the media and all the staffers will go through testing again tomorrow. So if I've got the thing again, I'll let you know, and we'll continue to do as good a job as humanly possible here on the primetime show. Kinsey caught a touchdown too, says Mark Jones. Yeah, and Mason Kinsey probably going to get cut, honestly, because Melvin Matheson talks about, do I think Kinsey will make the 53? No, I think he's had a really he looked slow. Like, that's probably as bad as he's looked, and really still productive on Saturday against Tampa, but there's just too many dudes at the wide receiver position. That would necessitate a spot over him right now, despite the fact that he has really put on a show. Who has had the better performance between Elijah Molden and Matt Barkley? Let me know in the comment section. Michael Eagle says Barkley easily. I don't think you could say easily, Michael. I thought Elijah Molden was great last night. I thought he was the story of the game. Robert Lehue says Molden. Steve Haygood says Barkley gives us a deep threat. We need to make the offense work and keeps defense honest. Yeah, I mean, Logan Woodside doesn't throw things deep, but again, Matt Barkley has a proven track record of not being a very good quarterback. It's base defense right now, and he's nearly a decade in the league. He ought to be able to look competent at this level, and the good news is that he does. It's a good problem that you're having, even as Woodside probably doesn't physically impress you. Something to keep in mind. Molden made a ton of plays. I was shocked at his production, says Christopher. I don't know that I was shocked, but it was really, really good to see, and I wrote about this at AtoZSportsNashville.com. The answer can be both, right? They both looked really good, and it makes you feel better. And there was a lot of guys who had good nights, and there was a handful of dudes who didn't. Dylan Radins had a hard time with Joe Tryon, like a really hard time with Joe Tryon. And Joe Tryon's going to be a good player. Dylan Radins could still be a good player, but like this, that wasn't the step forward that you were looking for from your second-round pick. The offensive line struggled to run the ball early on. Then once they changed the personnel for Tampa on defense, things got easier for them. But still, the backup offensive line remains a major concern. But I thought that Elijah Molden in his debut was really, really strong. So not to say that Matt Barkley didn't have a good game last night, but I really thought Molden was great.
Did you go to the guy's leg? I don't even remember the 6'6" and 6'7" right in front of me. I'm 5. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I don't remember. I kind of just blacked out that play. Yeah.
So Molden was a trip last night when we spoke to him in Tampa Bay after the game, because he had a tip pass, and it wasn't like he just happened to be in the right spot to have it deflect off his chest and basically into the arms of Clayton Gathers, because they had 2 interceptions. He forced a fumble. He made a really good 4th and 1 run stop. He had the sack where he literally splits the difference between, as he's saying, 6'6" and 6'7", 2 giant Tampa offensive linemen. He just dips like Tasmanian devil style, bear crawls through underneath the 2 offensive linemen and gets Blaine Gabbert down on the ground. And he made a really good play. I think it was a screen pass that they were trying to run. On the next play, he blew that up in the backfield. I mean, this dude was all over the place. I think he ended up with 8 tackles, a PBU, a forced fumble, and a sack. He reminded me, I wasn't here to cover Cortland Finnegan, but he reminded me a lot of what they like to do in base defensive packages, simple packages, not super schemed up last night. He reminded me a lot of what they like to do with Logan Ryan under Dean Pease as the slot corner. He wasn't going to start last night, and he ended up playing more snaps. 46, I believe, was the final snap count for Elijah Molden. And I wrote about this for A to Z Sports Nashville.com after the game last night. More than any other Titans DB, started in the slot. Something he said that he found out that he would start right before the game happened because he said Chris Jackson went down in warmups, and it wasn't really clear to us. We never had any kind of injury update on Chris Jackson, but I know that he didn't play and he did dress out. And Chris Jackson's not like somebody who's above playing, who should be above playing in a preseason game. So it's fair to kind of wonder what happened there. But, unfortunately for Chris Jackson, Elijah Molden looked fantastic because Chris Jackson is also competing for that slot nickel spot. And the dude in his debut, Caleb Farley played last night too. We're not talking, the most notable thing from Caleb Farley is got burned. He bit hard on a double move by Scotty Miller, got beat down the sideline. And fortunately for him, the pass was caught out of bounds by Scotty Miller because he got taken for a ride. And that's okay. Like, I'm not beating up on Caleb Farley. I'm just saying that we're not talking about the first round pick. The story of last night's game was Elijah Molden in his debut. Matt Barkley, it's interesting to see if the quarterback competition is a legit competition because it never really felt like that with the other guys. And I think that Barkley's going to really push Woodside, which is what you're looking for. But I was super impressed with Elijah Molden last night to see how things went down. Kevin Leonard says, "Hey, Buck, how concerned are you about Weaver not making many plays last night? Was last week an anomaly for him?" No, I have no idea, Kevin. Like, I don't know. I think it's going to vary. Like, the Bucs have some good offensive linemen that didn't play most of their starters last night. But there was pressure there. It's just he wasn't, like, statistically. Don't box score scout. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take everything. And yeah, the statistics in the box score do matter. They're not completely irrelevant. But, like, don't focus so much on the box score as to say, well, this guy did X, Y, and Z, and this guy didn't, because I can see the physical number in the slot next to the stat that I'm looking at. I thought Weaver got pressure a couple times. I thought he had a bad penalty on special teams that didn't look necessary. But yeah, he's a 5th round pick. Like, it's gonna be different every week based on the level of competition. And he didn't go crazy. And because he was all over the place against Atlanta, and then I thought he was fine. Like, technically I thought he was fine. I thought that there were times when him and Roberson both got pressure, and they created opportunities like David Long to come screaming up the middle and take Blaine Gabbert down. There was a lot of good plays. And then, he just didn't flash the way that he did very noticeably to everybody, last night as he did on last Friday against the Falcons. How can they possibly keep McNichols over Sargent, cut McNichols, and add to practice squad? Oh, well, because pass protection. McNichols was great in pass protection. That's an easy answer. They both play hard. Sargent has looked better and gotten more work, right? But there's a reason that McNichols isn't playing as much because he's starting the start of the games, and they value McNichols more right now. They know what McNichols is, and they value him in obvious passing situations without Darrington Evans last year. They value him in pass protection. Mekhi Sargent, maybe he can do that too, but can he do it as good as McNichols? No, so far, no, yet. But the reason Sargent's getting all this work is because McNichols is ahead of him on the depth chart, and they're trying to keep McNichols healthy, just as they're doing with a lot of the vets right now. So, yeah, I think it's very easy to make the case Titans for life, and in fact, the conversations that I've had with the staff, they really do think a lot of Jeremy McNichols. They like Mekhi Sargent too, and they like the way that he plays, and they like his intensity and things of this nature. But yeah, it's really easy to make the case. The case has already been made based on McNichols' performance last year. It's just, can Mekhi Sargent take that step as an all-around back rather than just running hard against 3s and 4s in a preseason game? And that is important, right? You can only play the competition that you're against. But I do think that you got to keep it within the context. I cringe every time McNichols get the ball. I just don't see him as a successful runner. I hear you on pass protection, says Ben. I mean, he was a successful runner last year. I'm not sure what you're talking about. They had success with Jeremy McNichols last year. It's, the offensive line. Listen, the offensive line looked like shit last night. Like the run blocking sucked. And remember, the entire offense has not practiced together yet. They haven't played together yet. Like Lawan and Ben Jones and Nate Davis and Roger Saffold and whomever is playing right guard right tackle, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Anthony Ferkser, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. They haven't all practiced together yet, much less played together yet. And the starting offensive line hasn't done anything yet in the preseason. So like the backup offensive linemen as a collection stink. And the run game reflected that last night until such time as they switched the personnel out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought that Elijah Molden was more noticeable. I do think that Matt Barkley is an interesting storyline to watch develop. And I do think that it's I don't know how much more real him as the backup is over Woodside is, but I do think that there are some positives to take from Matt Barkley's game right now. Ryan Tannehill going to need a TV commercial for cleaning up the stadium, says Steve Haygood. Yeah, that's what Molden said last night. Tannehill had gloves on, was picking up trash in the locker room, Ed Reed style, the way you hear about. Sargent is potentially what we need in the pass game, though, if Darrington will be out. Says Kiz the artist. Yes, but they also think that somebody like McNichols has been around longer and understands their concepts more and can give them more in this kind of role. Again, there's a reason why Mekhi Sargent is playing very late into these games. Listen, it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. Now, I see Two-Tone Malone on YouTube saying I'm over Evans. I get that. I also get that it's, I'm not going to be mad at him for getting hurt. You can be mad at him for getting hurt. That's just not. I'm not going to do that. I just think it's unfortunate, and and you have to be available. Otherwise you can't last in this league. But I get why people are tired of it. It's just, it's Tony Soprano. What are you going to do? You can't stop guys from getting hurt. Bookie Fresh asked about Des Fitzpatrick making the team. So I've got Des Fitzpatrick on the radio show on Tuesday, and I think you guys will enjoy hearing that interview. We're going to go and record with him. Well, we're going to record it with him tomorrow after practice, and then I'll play it on the radio show for you guys on Tuesday, for those of you who listen to my 104.5 The Zone radio show. And basically I'm going to ask him, how close do you think you are to getting cut? And I heard Charles Davis. I went back and watched the TV broadcast after being at the game last night. Watched the TV broadcast on my flight home this morning from Tampa, and I heard Charles Davis say, nobody on this team needed that touchdown more than Des Fitzpatrick last night. And it was blown coverage, and Vrabel said, he did a good job to sell it, and he made the play, and that's all that matters. And that can be big for confidence, right? Because he needs the confidence, and he needs to have some urgency about himself. And he did make more plays. He was more noticeable on the field against Tampa than he had been in previous weeks, which is progress. I don't know if he's a lock, but I think that he's definitely still a possibility. But as I said, we're 9 days from roster cut down day, and there's only so many more opportunities that he's going to have to prove that he is worth keeping around, because it's a deep position. And I don't think any of us had any idea what they were going to get in Marcus Johnson and Chester Rogers, and the trade for Julio Jones makes all the difference in the world. And Josh Reynolds is probably going to be on this team, even though I would say to you that I don't consider him like an outright lock either. I think it's a little more open than people would make it seem to be. Des Fitzpatrick isn't a lock, but he made progress in the right direction. And that's all you can ask of a guy like that right now. Let's see. Anyone else getting sick of this GM and coach, says Chris Johnson? Why the hell wasn't Vrabel vaccinated? Doesn't this perpetuate the image of, okay, Chris Johnson, Chris, listen, I don't want to, like go crazy or bite your head off or anything like that, but Mike's vaccinated. Like Mike's been vaccinated since April. So, Mike Vrabel and John Robinson have come out. The team it was at the start of training camp, 90% vaccinated. So It's, Frank Reich was double vaxxed, tested positive a couple of weeks ago for the Colts. I'm vaccinated. It's entirely possible because I spent all week with them in Tampa, and we have maintained the proper social distance. But if I come up positive, and I've been vaccinated, then are you gonna get sick of me too? Like that's a way overreaction without having the information at your disposal, and I don't think that's fair of you at all to be lobbing that accusation. There's zero reason why you should be sick of either of them, because one, all they do is win, and two, they've done all of the things to get their shit together to make sure that they can keep this thing on track. And because we're playing in the middle of a global pandemic and nobody knows what the hell to do about the variants other than kind of find ways to make sure that they're in good shape. Yeah, I mean, again, we shouldn't be playing. I mean, I'm happy that we are playing football right now. I'm just saying that this is something, I think this is something that you can't predict. But don't come in here that strong, Chris, without all the facts at your disposal, because you're talking about the silence with injuries coupled with the fact that the starters have yet to even practice together. It's just a catastrophic industry situation. They owe it to the fans to explain. I mean, they don't know if and here's what I'll say, okay? Because I don't want to dismiss. I understand that frustration. I do. Because I would like to understand for my purposes a little more who's hurt and who's not based on how I'm making judgments of the football players, right? That would help me do my job, I feel. But when you say they owe it to the fans to explain, I mean, man, they don't owe you guys shit other than to win football games. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really all they owe you. Everything else to them is largely trivial. So I get your frustration. I would also say, yeah, I just kind of look at it and say, tough, like, deal with it. Because again, you're coming out with a lot of strong opinions that aren't necessarily, and some of it is not factually accurate, Chris. So I would just say, kind of reevaluate. And if you have personal feelings about the two of them, that's fine. But they have done nothing to earn that kind of scorn from you other than continue to win. Mad Dog says, stop giving that dude airtime. He probably isn't doing any research on his opinion. He's just saying that, well, you guys can argue amongst yourselves in the YouTube comments if you want. I'm not gonna waste a bunch of time on it. But when people Two-Tone Malone says, Buck being polite, light him up, get him. You guys are bloodthirsty. No, listen, man, you guys are the worst. You're a bunch of instigators. Because even when I'm trying to be diplomatic, you guys are sitting there, get him. Oh man, it's too funny. Buck always does this, get sidetracked by some dumbass comment, says Dirk. Oh yeah, the dumbass ones, Dirk, are usually the ones that catch my attention, right? Where you're sitting there reading through the comments, you're just like, oh, that doesn't make any damn sense. Let me talk about it. How am I not supposed to get distracted by it? I was at the game yesterday, says EA. Seemed like they were playing Tampa High School. Too easy. I mean, the only highlight for Tampa Bay yesterday was Joe Tryon. Like, other than that, the Bucks, everything Bucks depth-wise, at least the quarterbacks, man. Kyle Trask stinks. And if any of you tell me that you want to trade for O.J. Howard again, he's probably going to – I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets cut. And maybe if he gets cut, you look to add somebody like that just for the sake of depth, because Tommy Hudson did get hurt, and we did not hear any kind of update on his injury situation. Tommy Hudson, the tight end for the Titans. So if Tommy Hudson was like going to be the third or the fourth tight end on this team, and O.J. Howard's out there, even though he looked awful last night and he's coming off an injury, then I guess we can have that conversation. But like, get the hell out of here with trade something for O.J. Howard, because all that dude did was drop passes last night. I mean, he caught a few, but he was not out there playing football. And Kyle Trask looked really, really bad. But Christopher correctly points out, Tryon ate Raden's lunch. It's true. I mean, Joe Tryon is going to be a stud. The rich got richer this year in the draft. That's wild to me. What about John Simon? Is he going to make the team, Buck? Yeah, John Simon's going to make the team. John Simon's for sure going to make the team. There's a lot of interesting conversation. Outside linebackers are pretty interesting numbers wise. I think Derek Roberson's probably the odd man out there, or somebody like Wyatt Ray. But John Simon is worth keeping. He's not like an outright pass rush dude. He's probably going to play the run on early downs. But he made a couple plays last night. He did strip the ball out. The Bucks recovered on that sack that he had, but the technique looked great, and he's a good depth piece. He's worth keeping around. The Mason Kinsey catch in the end zone was the highlight for me. I was right near it, says Titans Rossi. Yeah, Matt Barkley ripped a really nice ball into a tight window throw into Mason Kinsey in the end zone. And Barkley told us last night, yeah, we haven't practiced that route concept before at all, but that's just a product of trust. So it's good to see that. Okay, let's move on because it's turned into a longer show than I anticipated. And I want to get you guys out here in enough time to enjoy your Sunday evening. I want to this is a free site. The best thing that I saw on the internet this weekend. The question for you guys is how well would you do on the Milk Crate Challenge? Let me know in the comments on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. How well would you do in the Milk Crate Challenge? Please let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We will discuss at length together right before we wrap this show up here on A to Z Sports Prime Time after I tell you guys about Brymac Mechanical. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. They will make sure that if you need them commercially, they can handle your commercial business. If you need them residentially, they will do what they will do for you what they did for me, which is come to my house in an hour and make sure that before I left town for Atlanta, that my upstairs, I've got 2 air conditioning units, one for the downstairs, one for the upstairs. They made sure that the upstairs wasn't cooking while I was gone for a weekend covering football, and I had to leave at the last minute. Brymac said, you know what, we got you covered, and we'll make sure that we get everything done in a timely and orderly fashion. They did exactly that. Satisfaction guaranteed. It means something to them at Brymac Mechanical. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. Okay, so would you fare well in the Milk Crate Challenge? Chill Mode says, so the Milk Crate Challenge is an actual thing? Yes. Dom Odell says, I would literally rupture my spleen. Don't see how y'all are doing it. Man, I saw a video of some dude like rolling a joint while he did the Milk Crate Challenge, which takes not that we promote illegal drug use around here, but like it was, I mean, the hand-eye coordination alone is something spectacular, much less the kind of balance and core strength that you have to have, because this Milk Crate Challenge thing, it looks insane. I don't know where everybody's getting all these milk crates, but there's a lot more people eating it than not.
Oh! If I just believe it, there's nothing to it.
¿Qué traes, güey?
I believe I can touch the sky.
It's the music for me, man. I'm gonna run it back one more time because there's so many great parts about this video. But the I believe I can fly music in the background is so cruel to this poor man who, listen, if you're dumb enough to do this, then you deserve whatever happens to you. But my God, was this funny to me.
If I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it.
¿Qué traes, güey?
I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
It's so damn funny to me. The Milk Crate Challenge is a terrorist conspiracy, says Mad Dog. Man, it's Darwinism for me. Like, if anybody's out there trying to do that stuff seriously, I thought about it and I'm like, no, that makes zero sense. I'm going to bust my ass and then I'm going to come in here with like a busted chin or something like that. And it would make for great social media content. And maybe Austin and Zach should put it in the magic bucket, even though I think that creates like a liability issue and the A to Z lawyers would have to get involved. So maybe they can't, but oh my God. Oh my God. The Milk Crate Challenge, to me, I would never, ever do it. But thank God for everybody that is, because it's a hilarious watch on social media. Kevin Leonard says, can we hear about your dinner with Paul and Tehran? Would love to see you and PK debate each other and have your back and forths outside of social media platforms. Feels like it would be a fun debate to watch. Listen, Paul, I love Tehran. I love Paul. We went out with Michael Kist of SB Nation and John Ledyard, my buddy from Pewter Report, who was one of the people who founded the Draft Network. in a previous life. So yeah, we had a fantastic dinner at a place called Columbia in Tampa. No free ads, but oh my God, was the food good. Yeah, and we had a great time. We always all go out to dinner together on the road. Like that's I'm 28 now, but like I've been doing this job since I was 23, and these people are, Paul and Tehran and Teresa and Rex wrote even as much shit as we give each other. They're basically like my family. So it's, we really enjoy those opportunities. I hope that the Delta variant doesn't do away with all of the road, all of the normal things from like covering road games, because I missed that a lot last year. And it was nice to have that back this weekend. And of course, Vrabel comes up positive for COVID. And now God knows what's going to happen to all of us tomorrow when we test, but I'm not going to think about it tonight. And I am going to tell you guys, I'm so happy to have you back and so happy to be home. It's so nice to be home after, a couple of weeks on the road. Thank you as always for your participation. Make sure you support the people who make this show free for you. DraftKings Sportsbook, Two Rivers Ford, Gary Ashton, Remax Advantage, and Brymac Mechanical. Great local businesses here in Middle Tennessee, and DraftKings Sportsbook with great promotions here for you in sports betting in the state of Tennessee. Enjoy what remains of your weekend. I'm certainly going to try and decompress and then keep your fingers crossed for me that I don't test positive tomorrow, because that would really suck. Don't want to have COVID again. But in the meantime, we'll do what we need to do and make sure that you guys keep having great content. Go read what's up on the website. If you are a listener of the 615 Sessions podcast, send me your Music City mailbag questions. You can DM them to me on Instagram. We'll answer them on the pod tomorrow. It'll be me. It'll be Zach Lyons. It'll be Mr. Lebowski from Football and Other F Words. We're going to have a great time. Des Fitzpatrick is going to be on the radio show tomorrow. Jim Wyatt and Chris Sanders, former Titans and Oilers wide receiver, are going to play some tribute to my good friend Floyd Reese, who passed away over the weekend, which made me very sad. So it's been it's been a hell of a weekend, man. But you know what? The week is just now starting. Another week closer to football. So as sad and as sucky as the show has been tonight, I'll tell you what, I'm not tired yet.
No!